pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Commissioner Okan, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Commissioner Acharya is absent. Commissioner Zuber is absent. Commissioner Singh is absent. Commissioner Eggenberger is absent. Commissioner Foster.
Good evening.
Commissioner Green.
Here.
Commissioner Okan is here. Commissioner Walkins.
Here.
And Mr. Weber.
Here.
And of course, we have our township staff, community planner and planners, senior planner, Patrick Sloan and Aaron Schluto, and we have attorney Sarah Gibbs with us tonight. So, and welcome to you all, and welcome to those who will ultimately watch this on tape. We have minutes from our June 6th meeting ahead of us. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Support.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Watkins and support by Commissioner Weber to accept and approve those minutes of June 6th. Voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have an agenda of four main items tonight. Is there anything in addition from staff to that agenda?
No changes to the agenda. The only item I want to note is going back to roll call. We did receive communications from Commissioners Zuber and Eggenberger that they would not be able to be in attendance this evening.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. Anything from the commission to add to the agenda? All right, hearing none and seeing none, do I hear a motion to accept tonight's agenda as listed?
Second.
Got support by Commissioner Weber and, we've got a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Watkins. Voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We may have gotten some communications to staff. Patrick, anything come along the channels in terms of letters, emails, et cetera?
None that we have received in advance of the meeting for any of the agenda items. And previously, Senior Planner Schluto sent out the monthly report.
Okay, all right. All right, so on to our first agenda item of the evening. It's the Anand Village. We're considering a final site plan on this parcel. It's located at the southeast corner of Denton and Geddes. The proposed use there is a detached, single-family residential development. Patrick, would you like to give us more detail on that?
Sure. The Anand Village development, it's a 43-unit, single-family detached condominium development on about 11 and a half acres at the southeast corner of Geddes and Denton Road. As a detached condominium, the units are not individual lots. The building pads have a 10-foot separation distance, a 25-foot setback from the edge of the private road, a 20-foot setback from the edge of the sidewalk, and a 35-foot rear yard setback in accordance with the standards of the R4 district in the zoning ordinance. The preliminary plan was previously recommended for approval by the Planning Commission on October 18th, 2021, and subsequently approved by the Township Board on November 9th, 2021. The proposed final site plan is substantially the same as the previously approved preliminary site plan, with the exception of a few minor changes that are noted in our review. The site is accessed by a boulevard road from Denton Road. There's also an emergency vehicle-only access and breakaway gate that's proposed from Denton Road north of the main access. There are sidewalks proposed along the entire site frontages of Denton Road and Geddes Road, and they will connect to existing sidewalk terminations on Denton Road and on Geddes Road. There will also be internal sidewalks throughout the development. For the lighting, there are light poles throughout the development and at the entrance at Denton Road. They meet the lighting standards of the zoning ordinance in terms of not exceeding the illumination levels at the lot line. The stormwater management system has been reviewed by both Wayne County and Canton Township. There's an underground stormwater management system that's proposed in the middle of the site, with a pond proposed in the northwest portion of the site. The stormwater management plan review has been completed by Wayne County and by Canton Township, and the township and the county have approved of the stormwater plans. The landscaping is proposed in accordance with Articles 5 and 5A of the zoning ordinance. With the architecture at preliminary site plan review, the Planning Commission had reviewed some renderings for both floor plans and elevations for the architecture of the single-family homes. Those elevations have been modified slightly with more detail provided. The elevations of the homes do illustrate that the exteriors will contain at least 50% brick or masonry, which is required by the zoning ordinance. Additionally, there's a rear elevation offset of 4 feet, which is also required by the zoning ordinance. Therefore, the elevations are consistent with the elevations approved on the preliminary site plan. And finally, the master deed and bylaws have been reviewed by staff and the township attorney, and the master deed and bylaws have been recommended for approval. So in summary, staff's recommendation is approval of the final site plan. The only condition is that the applicant locate the entrance light posts closer to the sidewalk crossing at the entrance from Denton Road. And the applicants have sent us some communications in terms of a rendering of where they plan to locate those. Those will be acceptable in terms of the proposed locations close to the sidewalk. We would just need to see those on the plans before these go to the board for final approval. Other than that, our recommendation is approval.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Would you mind putting up the site plan? of this
Definitely.
Project? And then, is there a project sponsor here tonight for this project? Would you come on up, sir, and if you're welcome to add anything. You're welcome to add anything that Patrick has said.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kirit Patel from Akshar LLC, sir. Akshar LLC.
Anything that you'd like to add to what Mr. Sloan has said? No? Okay, all right. Fair enough. I'm going to go to the panel up here. I'm going to start down at this end. Commissioner Okon,
I'm good. It looks like the last time we saw it.
Commissioner Watkins,
No objections.
Commissioner Weber.
I don't have any questions at this time. It looks like the revisions that we requested to the elevations were made.
Okay, and Commissioner Foster.
No questions.
All right, it looks like a very, very good project. We have actually, we've seen this many, many times, and whenever I've driven by there, I'm always thinking, when is this going to actually happen there? So, and I'm sure that the project sponsor is probably thinking the same thing. So I'm okay with the project. Do I hear a motion coming on this?
Don't we have to give the,
Pardon?
don't we have to put up-
It's not a public hearing. Yeah. Do I hear a motion coming from anyone?
Oh,
Through the chair, we don't have a model motion, but I think I'd like to move that we.
We have a model motion.
We have the model motion.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion.
Go right ahead.
I move to recommend approval of the final site plan on tax parcel number 126-99-0008-701, which includes 43 single-family detached residential condominiums located on 11.51 net acres, subject to the applicant locating the entrance light poles closer to the sidewalk crossing at the entrance from Denton Road, and also obtaining all agency permits and submitting financial securities to the township prior to review by the Board of Trustees.
support.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Okon and support by, what's your name again?
Foster, Summer
Commissioner
Foster.
Foster, sorry. I was having a mental block there for a minute. Any further discussion on that motion? Nothing? Okay. Commissioner Okon, would you call the vote on this, please?
Sure. Commissioner Foster.
Yes.
Commissioner Okon, yes. Commissioner Watkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Weber.
Yes,
And Chairman Green.
Yes. So the motion passes, and so it goes to the trustees. probably within the next month or so,
That's correct.
correct? Okay. All right, good luck to you. All right. Mhm. Our second agenda item of the evening is Greenland and Sage, where we're considering a site plan approval for property located at the southwest corner of Cherry Hill and Denton, part of Cherry Hill Village. The proposed use is a grocery store and bakery. Patrick, could you give us more detail?
Yes, the applicant proposes to build a grocery store and bakery on a parcel of just over an acre and a half at the southwest corner of Cherry Hill Road and Denton Road. The building is proposed to be just over 19,000 square feet on the ground floor with a partial second floor mezzanine area. I'll go to the screen here and pull it up. There we go. Let me see if I can find one that's. Okay, and north is to the right there, so I'll turn this. Okay, that's a little better. And the site is located in the, the report says it's the village edge area, but actually this area is the village core. And that's in the Cherry Hill Village Overlay District. The ordinance states that the guidelines of the Cherry Hill Village design guidelines will prevail over the underlying zoning district. And although the original agreement for the PDD in Cherry Hill Village expired in 2014, the site is still subject to the standards of the Cherry Hill Village Overlay District, which is 6.09 of the zoning ordinance. The last application on this site was a Rite Aid, which was approved in 2007, but it was not built and the plans eventually expired. The layout of the Greenland and Sage building that's proposed is very similar to the layout of the previously proposed Rite Aid building, where the building is located close to the northeast corner of the site, and the parking is located to the west and to the south in the side and the rear of the site. The Cherry Hill Village Overlay District requires that all projects be treated as a planned development. Each planned development district is required to demonstrate definite benefits to the community, and the definite benefits of the site include the architectural design and the outdoor dining amenities. The Planning Commission reviewed the planned development for the proposed grocery store and bakery on February 7th, 2022, and also held a public hearing and recommended approval. At the meeting of the Township Board on March 8th, 2022, the Township Board approved the planned development for the site. The site plan has been designed in accordance with the plan development agreement. There are a few relatively minor changes. Well, some not so minor. One of the ones is that they show the actual road improvements on the plans and a separate diagram with an underlying color aerial showing the proposed road improvements in accordance with the traffic study that they submitted at the plan development review, as well as the review by Wayne County showing the left turn lane, some of the widening of Denton Road to the east. Also, the floor plan is a little bit more refined that shows a more detailed mezzanine area upstairs in the main building. Many of these items were previously addressed at the Planning Commission meeting in terms of the comments in the staff report, so I'll try not to be too redundant in repeating them. There are two entrances proposed. One entrance is from the west from Market Square Drive, and one entrance from Denton Road to the east. Both of these entrances were approved at the plan development review. And the township's traffic engineering consultant had reviewed the traffic study at the plan development review and recommended approval and acceptance of the traffic study. The landscaping has been designed in accordance with the zoning ordinance and the Cherry Hill Village Overlay Design Guidelines. One item that requires a discretionary decision by the Planning Commission is the parking. Section 4.01C6 of the zoning ordinance requires one parking space per 150 square feet of usable floor area, plus one parking space per 250 square feet of office area, plus one space per employee. Based on the plans and the numbers presented, there are 94 spaces required, and there are 88 parking spaces proposed, which consist of 82 on-site spaces and 6 on-street parking spaces. Section 4.01C6 of the zoning ordinance also allows the Planning Commission discretion to either lower the minimum parking or raise the maximum parking. In this case, the recommendation from staff is to lower the minimum parking to what's proposed on the plan with 82 on-site spaces and 6 on-street spaces. The recommendation from staff is based on Parking Generation Manual 5th edition from the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE, which indicates that the average parking demand for a supermarket of about 19,000 square feet is 69 spaces on a Saturday, and the average parking demand for a 1,070 square foot restaurant and coffee shop is about 15 spaces on a Saturday, which combined is a total average parking demand of 84 spaces. Therefore, we recommend approval of the 88 spaces as proposed on the plan, which is sufficient for the anticipated parking based on ITE's model. Additionally, because this grocery store and bakery is located in more of an urban setting than what we're used to in Canton, we anticipate that a lot of the trips will be walking trips or perhaps biking trips. So given the location and orientation of the grocery store, it may have a much lower parking demand than a similar size grocery store in a purely suburban setting. For the lighting and the dumpster enclosure, they've been designed in accordance with the requirements of the zoning ordinance, with meeting the illumination levels. With the lighting, we recommend that some of the sheets be revised to be consistent with one another, but they'll have the decorative lighting that's required in Cherry Hill Village. For the dumpster enclosure, the trash compactor area will include the required enclosure wall and gate so that the compactor will be screened sufficiently from adjacent properties on all sides. For the building design meets many of the design standards of the Cherry Hill Village Overlay District, which include being 2 stories and having a rectangular form with a storefront facade. It's very similar to the previously approved Rite Aid building in that the proposed building, it's a large single-use building, and it doesn't have the recommended full-width glass on the ground floor, and it doesn't have the 3 windows topped with an upper cornice like what we might see in the core closer to the theater. Overall, the building is relatively modern compared to the more traditional building in Cherry Hill Village. The exterior, though, is at least 50% brick, which is required by the zoning ordinance. The conceptual designs are very similar to what they were at the plan development review, and the Planning Commission had approved the plan development plan, so we recommend that the elevations be approved. But we do recommend revising some of the sheets to replace the spandrel glass on the north side of the building adjacent to the seating area and the drinking edge of the bakery with transparent glass. We believe the intent is to have transparent glass in the area so there's some visibility between the windows, especially in areas that are either shopping or dining areas. So we recommend replacing as much of that spandrel with transparent glass as possible. But there are areas where there is spandrel glass where it's next to an adjoining storage area or an adjoining food prep area where we don't necessarily want people looking in. For the signage, section 2.28 of the zoning ordinance has limits on wall signage, and there's also a ground sign proposed at Denton Road, which is 6 feet high and a maximum of 24 square feet, which was approved at the plan development review. Therefore, our recommendation is that the signage meet the plan development approvals as well as any other requirements in the zoning ordinance. And that will be affirmed by the building division when they review the signage plans during the sign permit review. Finally, for the stormwater management, the site is proposed to drain to the existing stormwater ponds located directly south in the corners at Cherry Hill. These ponds are designed to hold regional drainage, including for this site, and this site has been included in the drainage calculations within those ponds. Therefore, the pond and the drainage is already accounted for, but stormwater is something that's under the jurisdiction of Wayne County, so we would defer to Wayne County when they do their eventual review of the plans. So with that, the planning staff's recommendation is approval of the site plan for a grocery store and a bakery, as illustrated on the site plan for the reasons stated in our review, including waiving of the foundation landscape requirements on the west and south sides of the building, and a waiver to modify the number of required parking spaces to 82 on-site spaces and up to 6 on-street spaces, subject to the items noted in our review being addressed and corrected, and also subject to all state, county, and township requirements. The last item I do want to mention is that the foundation landscape requirements on the west and the south sides, those were areas that were identified during plan development review as not having the area of the foundation landscaping because it's a very tight site, so the building meets an adjacent sidewalk, so the foundation landscaping really doesn't work in an urban setting when it's up against the street or an adjoining parking lot in this case. So the zoning ordinance gives the planning commission discretion to modify the landscape requirements, including the foundation landscape requirements when appropriate. So we do recommend that that waiver be approved on the west and the south sides of the building, although the landscape material on the site does include sufficient foundation landscape material elsewhere on the site. So that concludes our report, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Is the project sponsor available tonight? Would you like to come up to the podium, please, and make any additions that you would like to contribute?
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Najim Semwa of CDPA Architects, and I am the project designer. I have Mr. Kosan, who is the owner of Greenland Market, also here. I believe that Patrick's report is quite comprehensive. I really have nothing much to add. We have been in front of this board, as you recall, a couple of times already, and we are ready to move forward. One thing, though, of note that I would like to mention is that the improvements to Denton Road, as Patrick indicated, that they were based on the traffic impact analysis and also on the county engineer's review. They were also reviewed with the county traffic engineering, and we did seek input from the county, and those do comply with the county as well. So.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to go to the commission, see if there's any comments, questions, or concerns. Commissioner Foster?
I don't have any concerns. I was supportive of this project when it came before the board before, and I don't have any issues with the site plan, but agree with the recommendations from staff.
Okay, Commissioner Weber?
I have no objections to this. I'm looking forward to seeing this development in this part of the township.
Okay, Commissioner Watkins?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Really quickly, so I echo the comments of my colleagues here. I think this is a great project. I do still have some concerns with respect to the proximity to the school and the traffic patterns. What I'm looking at now, both to Patrick and to the developer, looks like these are proposed infrastructure improvements to Denton Road. I want to make sure that there is, and you talked about the county being in support of the improvements. Is there a time frame for this to happen? Have we talked about implementation of the change of Denton Road? Are those questions, number one, that you can answer today? And then second, Patrick, to you, it looks like the curb cut that exits onto Denton Road, when I look at it, I want to ensure that there is, how can I put it, a lane, both southbound, and a turning lane northbound to facilitate any additional traffic. And I'm trying to see it right here, and I apologize, I'm not seeing it very well. But I want to ensure that that's a part of this. One of the things about Denton Road, and everybody knows who lives in the community, listen, on a Friday at 3 or 4, you're going to have school kids, getting out of school, and at the same time, you may have people who are coming to the grocery store. The worst confluence of events is to have both things happening at the same time, and there isn't going to be sufficient, how can I put it, capacity for traffic that will be happening there. The second thing that happens, notwithstanding traffic going north and south, is that you've got buses, you've got parents. Hey, I'll say it, my kids go there, and I know what that line looks like every single day, backed up onto Cherry Hill and or Denton to the north. So I just want to be sure that the traffic is really going to be addressed. Love the development, love the changes that have been made, love the fact that this project has been to the commission even before I became a commissioner. But I just want to ensure that the traffic is going to be addressed in the greatest way possible. The last thing that we want to do is to build this in the greatest way possible, and then we look back and we say, yeah, this is a bottleneck that we didn't address. Thanks.
Commissioner Okan.
Yeah, two questions. Number one, Patrick, on the parking. So we're proposing 88 parking spots. If we look at the site plan, unless I missed it, where are the cart corrals?
The cart corrals will occupy 3 different spaces that exclude the 88 parking spaces. So there's one here,
Okay.
and then there's one closer to the building here, south of. And
Okay,
then-
so the 88
Over
is
to the left. Yeah. right there.
including the cart, that's excluding
Right.
them. Okay.
Yeah, so if the cart corrals were not there, it'd be 91.
Okay. And the second question I have, since this is, I'd say, an urban site with all the surrounding residential, do we have, is there a designated spot for bikes? Bike parking, bike rack, anything?
On this plan, I don't think that there is a dedicated bike parking area.
I would just recommend having a designated area. Like, 'cause I, just like you said in your report, I can imagine people riding their bikes up there, and be nice to have them all in one area versus scattered throughout the parking lot or sidewalk. Other than that, I think it's great. I agree with Mr. Watkins. It's hard to believe that's only, that we're allowing a left-hand turn out of there onto Denton, but if that's what the county is recommending, I'm okay with it.
One item of.
Oh, no left turn right there.
Yeah, this was something that we addressed during the plan development review. And there were issues with the potential for a left turn out of there. And so the applicants had put the no left turn sign on the plan development plan. So there will be a no
great.
left turn sign there.
Perfect, thank you. Other than that, this is terrific. I can't wait for it to be built. You gonna start tomorrow?
Well, to answer the commissioner concern regarding commencement, the improvements to Denton Road are concurrent with the project construction. That's one thing. And the other thing, we just addressed that. A traffic study was, conducted. Wade Trim looked at it. The township engineering looked at it. The county looked at it. I'm only an architect. I don't do traffic, so, and they all buy into it. So,
While you are up there, I have a couple of questions, and they are concerning site, things like lighting.
yes.
I'm concerned that, whereas you have signage listed here on your exterior elevations, that there is no lighting that is projecting outward. Is it going to be downlit?
We would like, and I don't know if Patrick can show the rendering maybe. Our concept in there is to really create a downtown market feel to this, and we would like to visit. We did comply. I wonder if you can go to the colored rendering, if you don't mind. We did meet the ordinance in terms of the foot candles and, and light pollution. But as far as the building facade itself, we would like to discuss that and see if we can really put up some of that signage we show on the rendering. We think that's an enhancement to the downtown look. And
Well,
I don't know, for some reason, I guess it's not showing up, so
It's,
we have some waterfalls.
yeah, I'll have to close it and restart it here. This is just-
Showed up a while ago, but
okay, well, you get what I mean, is that, because this is a village
yes,
store, obviously, you're in business, so you need some signage. However, there's going to be nighttime, and what we don't want is a business that blares its
No,
business
this is not the
throughout the
intent,
township and
yeah.
looks like Las Vegas because of the lighting. You know what I mean there?
Yes.
So when I saw a sign, I'm thinking, okay, this is very dangerous, and we need to make sure that that's done in a low-key kind of way. I don't, you know what I'm
well,
saying?
frankly, I did discuss this with my client, and the building doesn't need a lot of signage because it's out there,
Right,
corner by itself, and
Agreed.
it's visible. It just needs some identification as to what it is. We felt that there is some enhancements and that we could do, and we would be very happy to discuss this with planning and building, and
yeah.
obviously not to overdo it.
Well, we're in agreement that that the signage is required, it's part of doing business, and, you're going to get known, and there's no question about that, but I just don't want that to be the main source of lighting for that area, based
Yeah, I
upon the
understand.
the
So
light
you
from
see
the
in
buildings.
that top rendering, we use some banners versus lighting to identify that, up there.
Okay,
And
Okay.
again, we intend to comply with the zoning ordinance and
The other concerns that I have, we talked about, well, first of all, let's go back to Commissioner Okan's question, which was excellent. If we're talking about, that's supposed to be more of a walkable community, that people will be riding bikes, et cetera, and they need to have a place to put those bikes.
we had that at one time, and we think that the right location for that bike rack, basically, is right by that patio on the north side of the building, on Cherry Hill.
Okay, so, can you work with staff
Oh,
on something
absolutely.
like that, in terms of
Absolutely.
positioning?
Yes.
Numbers of slots? And I think that would answer your objection, Commissioner Okan. Yeah. The other thing that I have is a very visible thing. So you're going to have 3 cart storage areas. What happens to those carts after hours?
Carts?
Yeah, the carts themselves. What will happen?
They would be put together and secured and in place.
In those storage bins?
I would assume, yeah, unless,
Not inside?
In the store or in the corrals?
in the corrals, yeah. Is that the intent?
No room for them to be moved into the store?
There is some room, yes, yeah.
I would prefer that. That's a much better look than having them, contained in the corrals. You could bring-
Frankly, personally, I am against the corrals because putting the corrals in there, that is an opportunity to have all those carts congregate there sometimes in a chaotic way, okay? Not having the corrals in there, that forces the management to take them inside. This is,
Well,
Be
okay,
doing that anyway.
go ahead. I'm sorry, say that again? Come on up.
I'm Kusan, I'm one of the owner
Okay.
of Greenland Market. We don't mind taking the cart inside after closing.
Okay, that's what I would prefer. I don't know
Yeah.
how the rest of the commission feels about that, but I think that's a much better plan all around. The reason, let me just add this. Having cart corrals during business hours is a good thing. Why? Because there are people like myself that, maybe we buy enough stuff to where we don't want to lug the bags out to our car. But if we take a cart with us, now what do we do with it if you don't have a cart corral to locate the cart? Now, it's true that you have to have staffing to bring it back into the store, et cetera, et cetera. But that's, to me, a cost of doing business, and a worthwhile one, quite honestly. But I don't think it's a good idea to have them there after you're closed. I
Makes
really just
sense.
don't.
Yeah, we don't mind.
Okay,
More convenient in the daytime to be in the corral, but at night, we don't mind taking it.
okay. All right, I appreciate that. And then finally, okay, so your handling of trash, okay, you're not going to have a dumpster bin, right? Okay, so trash is going to be handled right there at the compactor area, and obviously you've thought about this. I don't know, I guess,
Just if I may add a little detail, maybe it's worth it.
okay,
The compactor is placed directly behind the building, and of course, there's a chute from the inside of the building to deposit the trash in the compactor. And typically, or usually, when the trash is compacted, some residue will escape. So that compactor is about 1.5 feet in the ground with a trench drain under it connected to a grease trap. So obviously to avoid, it doesn't go into the stormwater. But my point is not to bore you with the details, that has been thought of. That's
and we've
addressed.
addressed hours that they can operate that compactor, right? Because compactors make a lot of noise. And being that that compactor is facing the south, that's noise is going to go right to that adjacent neighborhood. So how late can they operate that compactor?
There have been cases before, I think BJ's Wholesale comes to mind when we had a condition where there were certain hours that they could run the compactor because they were by a residential neighborhood and there was concern that if it's a high volume business late at night, that could be an issue. And there were concerns from the neighbors about the noise, primarily from Lowe's, but they were concerned with BJ's having the same impact. So in that case, there was a restriction on, I think there was a restriction on hours that the compactor can be operated. In this case, the plan development doesn't have that condition in terms of the hours. And I don't know what the noise impact is, given there's a few rows of parking and some landscaping between the compactor and the residential area to the south. So I don't know what the noise impacts would be. By default, the noise provisions of the zoning ordinance would apply. So there's the noise, the maximum noise goes down during the nighttime hours, so it's quiet, and then higher during the day. So if there was no condition, then the noise ordinance would still apply. So if there were noise impacts at night that exceeded the zoning ordinance, then ordinance enforcement would have to work with the business owner to comply with the ordinance.
If we did not deal with the compactor timing in some of the initial phases of this, isn't there something already on the books, ordinance-wise, that deals with they cannot run a compactor after, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night or whatever? Isn't there something like that already on the? Yes, go ahead.
May I contribute, if I could? This building is two functions, basically, or two businesses. One is the grocery store, and the other part, the smaller part, is the bakery.
Yeah.
And the trash is mostly generated by the grocery store during their operation. And their hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So regardless, after 8 p.m., there will not be any
The most use,
noise to make. So,
the most use of the compactor usually in the morning is when we put the produce on the shelf and take all the old produce out.
Okay.
And grocery shelf, usually that happens in the morning shift. And like most employee, like the stock guys, they leave at 4 p.m. So there's no activity in the afternoon.
After 4 p.m.?
Most
Okay.
activities happen before 4 p.m. usually.
Because that's a concern I have. But also, the truck dock, you have room for one truck. Do you have an area in mind, a plan? Should you have need to have two trucks come and one's waiting for the other to be unloaded? Do you have stacking area within the parking lot?
We have.
I mean, is that,
We do have allocations for that. We have a truck well for deliveries, and the compactor is also picked up with a truck.
Okay.
And that has its access for that.
okay, all right. Well, those are my main concerns. I do echo the comments of my fellow commissioners that we welcome this project. I think it'll be good for Cherry Hill Village. I think it'll be good for the community, and I think you're going to get business, from beyond Cherry Hill Village once the name and reputation get out there. So I wish you a lot of luck. With that, does anybody have anything they also want to say or make a motion or anything like that? Anything at all? Okay.
Chair, I have it.
You have it, go ahead.
Right, yep, sure. So
Go
I
ahead.
move to recommend approval of the site plan for a grocery store and bakery on parcel number 073-99-0001-706 as illustrated on the site plan, including approval of a waiver of the foundation landscape requirements on the west and south sides of the building pursuant to section 5.07 of the zoning ordinance, and approval of a modification to the number of required parking spaces to 82 on-site and up to 6 on-street spaces pursuant to section 4.01C6 of the zoning ordinance, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to the following items to be addressed and corrected by the applicant. 1, modifying the lighting specifications on sheet L201 to be consistent with sheet ASP-1 and to comply with section 2.13 of the zoning ordinance. 2, placing a limestone or similar-looking material cap on the compactor enclosure to provide a finished appearance in accordance with section 2.14 of the zoning ordinance. And 3, revising sheets A-01 and A-03 to replace the spandrel glass on the north side of the building adjacent to the seating area and drinking edge of the bakery with transparent glass.
Mind repeating that, please? Yeah, that's right.
Support.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, and if I can amend the motion, I'd like to add, and in accordance with Planning Commission, add the aforementioned bike rack to the site.
Work with staff, right?
I'll support that.
All right, we have a motion and amended a motion on the floor by Commissioner Watkins, and we've got support by Commissioner Foster. Any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, seeing none. Commissioner Okan, would you call the vote on that, please?
Sure. Ms. Foster?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Okan, yes, and Chairman Green.
That's a yes. So we're recommending approval of this, and you're going to proceed to the trustees.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Have a good
Thank you
night.
for working with us. All right, agenda item number 3, Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union, where we're considering a site plan for property which is located on the north side of Ford Road between Sheldon and Canton Center Road. It's the old Huntington Bank location. The proposal here is to reoccupy the site for financial institution use and make modifications to that site and building. Patrick, are there any more details you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant proposes to locate in the former Huntington Bank building at 44530 Ford Road. So it's a repurposing of a site that's already set up for a drive-through bank. So the site changes that are proposed are relatively minor in scale. The project scope includes interior remodeling, removing a drive-through lane, adding a large glass vestibule to the front of the building, which is illustrated here in the picture. Also staining the building brick, adding a dumpster enclosure in the northwest corner of the site, and removing 2 parking spaces as a result. Going through some of the changes, the schedule regulations of the zoning ordinance in terms of setback, building height, et cetera, those are all met by the proposal. The proposed glass vestibule will make it a little closer to the road, but there's still a setback of over 100 feet from the front lot line. For the traffic circulation of the site has no curb cut on Ford Road, and there's no curb cut proposed. The site has access through cross-access drives from the west, north, and east, so there's plenty of access in and out of the site, which will be maintained. For the architecture of the plan, most of the proposed changes to the site plan overall are ordinarily subject to administrative staff review. However, when there are major changes or changes that require a discretionary decision, that's when the review is under the purview of the Planning Commission, and in some cases also the board, but in this case, it would be under the purview of the Planning Commission. The major changes to the architecture include adding the large glass vestibule to the entrance and staining the brick to a tan color. Currently, the brick is a red brick, and there's an illustration here in the packet that I'll show in a few minutes. And the applicants propose to stain it to the colors that are shown here on the picture. And the stain, by looking at it, it looks much like a paint in that it would color both the brick and the mortar and make those a uniform color. The difference being that with a stain, it penetrates the material and allows the material to breathe. With a paint encapsulates material and would trap in any moisture. So sometimes painting has the effect of potentially doing damage to the brick and mortar if it's trapping in moisture and it's not properly maintained. Stain, although there are some maintenance items with the stain, the coloring effect of it is much the same. The proposed glass vestibule, while we believe that the current architectural concept is preferable to the proposed entrance with the vestibule, especially with the size of the glass vestibule, the architecture is not inconsistent with the Central Business District overlay design standards. So the design is basically how the Planning Commission looks at the design of the standards of the district, as well as comparing to the design of the current Huntington Bank building. For the staining of the brick is not something that we recommend because the stain of the brick appears to have the effect of painting it because it fully changes the color of both the brick and the mortar. The existing building is predominantly a brick in a deep red tone. And although the letter submitted by the applicant states that the tan color has been used successfully in other buildings that are owned by this credit union, the lighter brick does not enhance the facade and does not enhance the Ford Road corridor based on the proposal. Therefore, staff recommendation for the facade color is to recommend retaining the natural red brick or replacing the existing brick exterior with a new tan color brick that's integrally colored. However, the Planning Commission is authorized to approve facade colors in accordance with the zoning ordinance, so we'll defer to the Planning Commission regarding the staining of the brick and if so, to what extent. For the parking and loading, the parking requirements for banks require 38 spaces for the site, and the applicant proposes to reduce the number of spaces from 49 to 47, so it will be a reduction of 2 parking spaces in the northwest corner. And the reason for reducing those parking spaces is to allow area for an outdoor dumpster. So the dumpster would comply with the zoning ordinance, which is a good thing and a good addition, and fewer parking spaces, which brings it closer to the minimum required by the zoning ordinance. So they're still oversupplied on parking, so there's no impact on the parking level for the site in terms of whether it can handle the demand. For the landscaping, there's a previously approved landscape plan that's on file for Huntington Bank. There are no changes proposed, so the landscape plan for the Huntington Bank would remain in effect with this proposed site plan. The proposed vestibule expansion results in the removal of some grass, but no shrubs or trees removed. For the lighting, there will be some existing lighting fixtures replaced with new fixtures, and the cut sheets and the photometric plan must be included with the site plan, and that must comply with the lighting standards of the zoning ordinance. For the signage, the site plan states that that there's signage proposed, and the note 24 on sheet A 3.1 must be revised to state the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance. Article 6A of the zoning ordinance allows up to 100 square feet of wall signage plus 50 square feet additional signage for a rear facade sign where there's additional access drives like a corner type of lot. Although it's not a corner lot, it has a similar arrangement with having access drives around it. So there are some sign bonuses that apply according to the zoning ordinance. But all signage must comply with the zoning ordinance. There haven't been any variances or anything granted, and this will be verified by the Building and Inspection Services Division during their building plan review. They're the entity that reviews all signage. Although the signage plans note that the applicant intends to seek a variance, we believe that the compliance with the zoning ordinance is attainable without the need for a variance, but that would be something that the applicants would have to design to and work with the Building and Inspection Division to see if perhaps they can comply with the zoning ordinance without the necessity for applying for a variance. So our recommendation is that while we approve of the site changes, including adding the dumpster enclosure, reducing the parking spaces, and removing an additional drive-through lane, we recommend deferring action on the proposed staining of the building pending receipt of revised plans that address the concerns noted by staff in our review. We've prepared 2 model motions for the Planning Commission's consideration. One is pursuant to staff's recommendation to defer action on the site plan. There's another option for a model motion to approve the plans as proposed if the Planning Commission so chooses. The last item that I want to bring up here is the existing Huntington Bank building. We've looked at the proposed facade for the credit union. A few years ago, when Huntington Bank was before the Planning Commission, these were the renderings that were submitted to the Planning Commission and were approved. So it's a natural color brick, the red brick, and also the entryway has the columns and an open area to the front doors. So the proposed change of the glass vestibule is a significant change to the front. It would remove the columns and the front entryway over that, although it would create more natural light and allow more light into the building, so there are some benefits there. But this is the brick that was proposed on the building, and it's the same type of brick that's seen out there today. So that concludes our staff report, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. It's the project sponsor here. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Steve Brewer,
Hello, welcome.
the Chief Financial Officer for Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union. I've been here for the last 20 years with this organization. Yeah, you may not be aware of or be that familiar with Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union, but we've been around since 1954. We're a $3.2 billion institution with 135,000 members and 17 other branches. We're primarily in Macomb and Oakland counties, but this is our second branch. This will be our second branch in Wayne County. Our members do like doing business with us. We've been nominated as a top workplace by our team members for 8 consecutive years, and we have a 97% satisfaction rating with our members. As far as the credit unions go, we're a not-for-profit cooperative, and we are in the top 2% by size of all credit unions in the United States, top 10 here in Michigan. And as far as performance go, we're in the top 1%. So we're really looking forward to doing business in your community, and we're very glad to be here. To specifically address a couple of the issues that were brought up, the color that we're proposing, we have used in other locations that we have successfully. We're a good community neighbor. We've had no complaints in any of the communities we've been in. We really indoctrinate ourselves into the community and make sure we're an active part of the community. So if anything was to go wrong with our branches, we immediately fix those things and have an upstanding, professional-looking building inside and out at all times. The color, we spent a considerable amount of time, effort, and money developing our branding, and all of our other branches have this similar branding with the tan color and the two stripes, and most of them have a glass vestibule in the front. I believe this, Mike can talk to this, but I believe that we're adding approximately 30 square feet from the original footprint of the building with the glass vestibule by pushing it out slightly. We do want to differentiate ourselves from other banks as well. So the column look, that's a Huntington look, or a TCF look, if you want to call it that now. But we have our own look, and that's the branding that we feel comfortable with, that our members will recognize us with, and we'll be able to move forward with that very confidently in your community. Mike?
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. My name is Mike Blanick. I'm with Stuckey Vitale Architects. I just wanted to address I did bring an actual brick color that we typically use. If it's a new branch, that's the tan color that we use. I don't think it's certainly in the earth tone category of colors, so it's not objectionable. The product that we use to do this process, and we've done it on 3 other branches, going back to 2015, is a product it's by United Coatings, which is actually part of GAF. It's called United Coatings Canyon Tone Stain. And the characteristics of this product: stain corrects natural color imperfections in the substrate by imparting permanent color uniformity plus excellent water repellency without disturbing the natural texture of the substrate. So unlike paint that seals the brick, fills the hole, the gaps or anything, this is a stain product that is absorbed into the material, just like you would see if you've ever been in a building where it has stained concrete floors, polished. It's in the concrete. It's not on top of the product and peels off. There's actually, they have 6 benefits for this product. Uniform appearance, so that the way they have the toning pigments are chemically suspended in the product so that they are uniformly applied to the surface. Color rendition, non-fading pigments, and will generally resist ultraviolet and ozone attack. Non-oxidizing, doesn't contain any oxidation, vegetable or mineral oils which cause rapid degradation and allow moisture intrusion. Non-lapping, which means when they put it on there, it's uniformly applied to the entire surface. It allows moisture, this is a key difference in paint, allows moisture to vapor to escape from the building interior while providing excellent water repellency on the exterior through the use of hydrophobic resins. Hydrophobic basically is it beads up, water beads up you see it on plants and stuff. It beads up so the water doesn't go in, but allows the moisture to come out so the building is still breathing during this process. Unlike paint, and we've all used paint, it will seal whatever it's being applied to. Over time, that moisture from the inside will push on the paint, cause it to peel, which we've all seen that. And their 6-point, no peeling or flaking, does not peel or flake from properly prepared substrate, as do typical paint finishes. And I certainly have the data sheet here, which I've supplied with our submittal for this product. Another item to kind of point out is when we do a new branch, we color the mortar to match the brick, so it gives that monolithic look to the facade as not just the gray mortar that you see. And in a lot of buildings around here, I was driving down Ford Road. I noticed some of the Arby's has a white brick with white mortar as part of their branding. I know there's other buildings on Ford Road that I look like they're painted. In fact, the strip mall behind this branch has painted brick on it. It's already peeling. If you go by the facade at the bottom of the columns, you can see they just painted over it and it's already peeling away. We have a branch that's over 7 years old, looks as good as the day we put this product on it. So it's important to differentiate what we're proposing. We're using a unique product that actually, their brochure shows the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, that they used on the entire complex, which is over 1 million square feet. So it's specifically designed for this kind of use. And we feel, I don't think anybody has a problem with the color we're proposing. If If you look at that brick sample, it certainly, I've seen some tan-colored buildings in the city, in the township, I'm sorry. The glass facade, what we're trying to do there is we are pulling the building out a little farther because we have to meet ADA with the clearance of the doors. Currently, the vestibule is pushed into the branch, so when you go in there, it kind of breaks up that lobby. We want to open the lobby up. We're adding a little more glass on each side so we get more natural light. This is south-facing, so we're going to get a lot more daylighting, allow us to get that light into the branch, give it a nicer appearance. And so and the roof line doesn't change at all. We're using the same roof line, we're tying into it, so we're not dramatically changing really any of the roof line. And then right now, there's ephes on there, and it's in bad shape. And what problem with ephes is, over time, it gets dirty, starts to look deteriorated. We're getting rid of it on the front end. On the drive-through, we're gonna use a pre-finished metal to redo the ephes, because again, it looks pretty beat up over there on that side as well. So it's gonna give it a nice, fresh look, and as we said, this is our branding for the branches. We've got, this is number 19. So it's part of the brand for their credit union. This will be the second one in Wayne County, and we feel it's a good refresh to the brand, to this location, and it'll make it look really nice and upscaled.
It was one other point.
Go ahead, Steve.
Mike said that we've had applied this since 2017 and have not had to redo those products. But our buildings are professional in every community that we are involved in. And the minute that does require it, or it needs a roof, or it needs new landscaping, we're going to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for working with us here. I'm going to start with Commissioner Weber and see if you have any comments or concerns.
First of all, I have no doubt that you're good corporate citizens. I mean, most banks in the community are credit unions. I think for the most part, I think all of us can say that the banking facilities that have been in our community do a pretty good job of maintaining their properties in our township. I appreciate what you're trying to do, and I would be a hypocrite if I said that I don't like the staining of the brick or whatever, or the color, because I've been one in past meetings to say that I'm tired of everything being brown in the township and that sort of thing. I will say this, and I understand it's part of your branding. I don't particularly care for this color. Maybe the rendering doesn't do it justice. The color of the actual brick there actually is a little more palatable to me than what this color is in the rendering. No offense, but this kind of looks like a McDonald's to me.
Could we switch, there's another sheet. Could you go to the last board there on the screen, please? Just to show it, hopefully it gives you a better rendition. I know color on reproductions is difficult to maintain. That's why I brought an actual brick, because it's not easy to get that to match. But this bottom screen here, this was a branch we did 18 months ago. We had a red brick. That was our rendering. This is the actual picture from the actual product applied to the brick. So we kind of, you can see that it's much more, I would think it's a little better because it's a photograph aligned with this color, just to kind of put it into perspective. That helps a little bit.
Sorry, it doesn't change my opinion.
Okay.
I'm more happy to have you in the community. I would like for you to be here. I don't want to see empty building sitting on Ford Road. But I'm sure, as you know, and Patrick's probably told you, we're about to undergo, within the next couple of years, a big transformation of Ford Road. And I'm not sure what all the future holds in that regard. And granted, we're just talking about the road itself right now, but who knows what that leads to on either side of the road. Again, I appreciate what you're doing. I can't get behind this design. I'm just not a big fan of it, but I'll defer to my fellow commissioners.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Watkins.
Thanks so much, Mr. Chair. So, this kind of takes my mind back to, I remember 2006, we were we're in downtown Detroit trying to rehabilitate the Book Cadillac Hotel. And we had an opportunity to do, it's over $200 million renovation through the city of Detroit and our partner from out of Ohio. They wanted to do the same thing with the Lewis Camphor design that's on the front, historic design. Clearly, the first thing they talked about to us at historic, and this isn't historic, is not a historic structure, but it was that staining brick is not a great idea. Staining concrete is not a great idea. I've seen it in many different instances. I haven't liked what I've seen in my career, how it holds up. That being said, I think there are situations where that works. I think this isn't that situation. I'd much rather see a darker brick. Last thing I'll say about it, it works well going from light brick to dark brick. It doesn't work as well going from dark brick back to light brick in my experience. Last thing, I think there's no synergy with what's happening already on Ford Road, and then, as Commissioner Weber said, the things that will happen on Ford Road. Those are my comments. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Foster?
So, I don't mind having variations of color of brick on Ford Road or any part of Canton. That doesn't bother me as much, but I do not like the look of the painted or the stained brick. And in the picture that you showed down there, you could see it even clearer. It looked actually painted. And so, yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
That's it? Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Okan?
I guess I'm the oddball out here. I don't mind it at all. I think it's fine. I got no issues with it. I'm glad to see that this building is being taken over by a good company that's willing to throw some money into it. I don't mind about the staining of the brick. Other than that, I'm good.
Okay. My impression, gentlemen, was when I first saw this packet, I thought, oh, no. First of all, I love the idea of changing the entrance, okay? That part is great, but my first impression was, no, 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 do it with the brick that's already there. But that was before hearing from you that this is part of your brand. This is, and I believe in branding, I really do. But one thing bothers me about tonight is that you went through great detail in terms of the brick that you use when you get a chance to actually install brick to your buildings, but that's not what's being proposed to us. What's being proposed to us is painting or staining that is supposed to emulate that, and it's the emulation that I have a real problem with, because now what I'm feeling is that you're basically just going to throw a look into Canton, and I don't agree with that. I'm willing to keep an open mind about the color change. I prefer the red, just on first blush, but I, again, believe in branding along with you. But my feeling is, if it's the brick look, give us the brick. You went through a lot of detail in terms of the quality of that brick, but yeah, you're going to give us a stain. And that's, to me, that's not equitable in terms of what we're getting along Ford Road. Ford Road is much too important to go that route, and I would love to see this proposal turn around with new brick. I know it's a lot more money, but I think you'll find that it's a lot more worthwhile to do it that way than to come in with just stain. That's just my feeling on it. Otherwise, I think it's a great project. Again, the glass vestibule, is a great addition. I liked Huntington Bank the way it is, but that was Huntington Bank. I think this could be your brand with the existing colored brick. I really do believe that with the new entrance. But if you insist on the brand, then I would like to see the full boat with the actual brick. I don't know. Anyone else have any other thoughts on that? Yes,
Question?
go ahead.
So, just so I'm clear, what I'm hearing is the color of if we put the color that we're proposing for the brick on the actual sample is as a acceptable color?
Well,
I
the
know-
actual
I know,
brick, the actual brick is more presentable than the render.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand where, you know, obviously, we've promoted, I'll be honest with you, the other three, we've never had this happen where we couldn't redo the brick with the stain. But we've presented the product to other communities, and they were fine. Actually, one community said they would only approve this product as a use, which I found surprising, but they don't want painted brick either in their community. So I'm just trying to understand if we were to come back with another proposal, you know, and we would say, all right, we're gonna tear off the brick. Just use that as a scenario. That's the brick we'd want to use.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if I'm hearing the commission is acceptable to that color, or we need to go back to the red color, because that's what's on the building now.
Personally, I can accept that color if it's the real deal and it's your branding. Okay, it's not my first choice.
Sure.
But if it's your branding, I could see how that would work for you on Ford Road. I don't agree that we have to have all the same type of thing on Ford Road, and I think when it comes to different businesses and different brandings, they should have some differences that are their own, and I could go along with that, but don't fake it.
I think most of us, unless I was misunderstood, I think I pretty much said the same thing. I don't necessarily want to see all the same color on Ford Road. I don't necessarily have a problem with that brick. I don't like this color that's in the rendering.
Right, and unfortunately, the rendering's not,
and
yeah, it's not the, I understand.
I mean, I just, I agree with the chairman that if we're talking about stripping off the brick and putting that brick on, then maybe we're talking about a different story here. But I'm just not on board with these colors as they're portrayed in the rendering. The vestibule is fine, you know.
I guess I'm looking at it this way. If you're going to come in and do business in our main business district, we're looking at you for the long haul. And staining something to come on board for a certain look is a short haul measure to me. And I feel like Canton deserves the full boat. So if you're going to come in with the full boat. That's just my feeling with it. Anybody?
I guess maybe then we just deferring
You
this
wanna-
action or do we want to?
Yeah, if the action is to defer to getting revised elevations, then the staff recommendation would be to defer action on the application pending receipt of revised plans.
You need a motion for that? Okay.
I can give it. I move to defer action on the site plan amendment application for a financial institution use on parcel number 039-99-0028-702, pending receipt of revised architectural elevations that address the comments and recommendations of planning staff and those tonight from the Planning Commission.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Watkins and support by Commissioner Weber. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, seeing none, Commissioner Oken, would you call the vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Okan, yes, and Chairman Green.
Yes. So that you have it from us, and we hope to see you back here. I think your business will be good for Canton.
Thank you.
Our fourth agenda item of the evening is Zippy Auto Wash. We're considering a site plan for property which is located on the south side of Michigan Avenue and on the west side of Beck Road. And again, the proposed use is an automatic car wash. Patrick, could you give us more detail?
Yes, thank you. Just bring up the plan here. And the proposed use is a car wash use, and it's located on the south side of Michigan Avenue, just west of Beck Road. So it's a corner lot. And find my staff report here. I did have it up. All right, perfect. The property is in the C3 Regional Commercial Zoning District, and car washes are special land uses in that district. The proposed car wash received special land use approval by the Township Board at its April 26, 2022 meeting, after receiving a recommendation of approval by the Planning Commission on April 4th, 2022. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on the special land use and subsequently recommended approval. The site is about 6.85 acres, and the development portion of the site goes much farther back to the south. As you can see in the illustration here, the parcel continues to go southward, so only about the northern half, give or take, of the site is proposed for development, which is the Michigan Avenue frontage. The area on the south side of the site is just remained to be open at this point. There may be a point in the future where there's proposed commercial development farther south of the site, but that's not proposed at this time, nor is it planned for by the applicant. The plans are much the same as they were when the applicants came before the Planning Commission for special land use review. The schedule of regulations of the zoning ordinance are in compliance with the C3 zoning district for the site size, the setbacks, and the building height. The plans also illustrate compliance with the zoning ordinance for the automobile wash establishment development standards. The vacuuming facilities are located in the rear of the building on the south side. The orientation of the bay is in the side yard on the west, and although the orientation is to the non-primary front to the east along Beck Road, the zoning ordinance states that for the orientation of the bays, that the building should be oriented so that bays, particularly for self-service auto washes, do not face onto adjacent thoroughfares unless screened by an adjoining lot or building. That would make a car wash on a corner lot virtually impossible. The word "should" is in the zoning ordinance as it relates to this, and it specifically addresses the self-service car washes. So what we have here is we have the eastern bay door. It faces Beck Road, but on the landscape plan, there's significant screening along Beck Road, in addition to the distance from the bay door to the lot line. So there's quite a bit of distance, and there's a berm and landscaping along Beck Road. And that bay door that's facing Beck Road, that's the door where cars go in. So in terms of the headlights and things that, in the glare that may come out onto the road, that would not be there on that side. So the cars going in, that's as ideal as we would often see for a car wash on a corner lot, with the orientation of the bay door, the orientation of the site, and the heavy landscaping on the east side of the site as a result. There's one point of access into the site, and that's from Michigan Avenue. The driveway is designed to be as far away from the intersection of Beck Road as possible, and the applicant has submitted a traffic study to address the site's traffic impact on Michigan Avenue. MDOT has reviewed the plans and is requiring the applicant to extend the right turn lane on Michigan Avenue all the way to the west property line, which would make the southernmost lane of Michigan Avenue a continuous right turn lane. Because the road surface is already in place on Michigan Avenue, the modification might only require changing the existing pavement markings on Michigan Avenue, so some repainting there to reclassify the lane. The access would be under the jurisdiction of MDOT, so whatever MDOT will require will have to be done. The parking standards are met for the number of the parking spaces. There's also a vehicle charging station located between two of the parking and drying spaces on the west side of the building. The only changes required are that the parking spaces on the west side of the site are depicted at 18 feet deep, and those parking spaces have to be lengthened by 1 foot to 19 feet, or the adjacent sidewalk would have to be widened to 7 feet. It would have to be one or the other, but both appear to be attainable in that part of the site. For the loading area, the zoning ordinance requires a loading area to be located in the side or rear yard. The loading space is located on the south side of the building, and the minimum dimensions are 10 feet by 50 feet. The applicant has noted that deliveries will be made by cube vans rather than semi-trailers. And section 4.02B7 of the zoning ordinance allows the Planning Commission to modify the loading space requirements upon making a determination that another standard would be more appropriate. because of the number or type of deliveries experienced by a particular business or use. In this case of the car wash, we recommend reducing the loading space size to the dimensions of a typical cube van, provided that the loading area allows for the required 22-foot parking aisles to the northeast and to the west. So based on the type of the use and the deliveries that they would typically get out of a cube van, we think that shortening the loading space would be appropriate. For the architecture, the zoning ordinance requires commercial buildings to have a minimum of 50% face brick on proposed car wash building. Although alternative masonry materials can be considered to meet the requirement. The applicant proposes a half-high concrete masonry unit as the predominant building material, which can be designed to have the appearance of brick. There's glass and siding and split-face block and single-score CMU providing accents to the facade, but they don't make the majority of the materials of any facade. So the predominant material is the half-high concrete masonry unit. The color for the branding for Zippy Auto Wash is a gray masonry. So what they're proposing is a half-high CMU, which has the appearance of brick. It's a little larger than a typical brick. Some commercial buildings, it's been used, but that's the proposal in their plan. At the April 4th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission recommended adding coins to the building that are the same color as the window outlines. There have been coins added to the building. We recommend coloring them the same as the window outline pursuant to the Planning Commission's recommendation, or if there's another color determined by the Planning Commission that's compatible with the building coloring. For the landscaping, the site has been designed in accordance with Article 5 of the zoning ordinance. There have been sod and seed areas noted on the revised plans that identify the sod and the seed delineation. And there's landscaping for the parking lot, the frontage, the detention pond, the foundation, and the general site landscaping. There will be a tree removal permit required after site plan approval, but prior to construction. Many of the trees that are on the site are exempt based on either the species of the tree or the condition of the tree. Next, for the sidewalks, there are sidewalks proposed on Michigan Avenue and Beck Road along both frontages of the entire parcel. So that will fill a considerable amount of sidewalk gap on both streets. For the lighting is in compliance with Section 2.13 of the zoning ordinance. Our only recommendation is that the entrance fixtures at Michigan Avenue be a decorative fixture, similar to other entrance fixtures along Michigan Avenue. For the signage, the proposed plan includes one internally illuminated ground sign located east of the entrance on Michigan Avenue. The notes on the wall signs indicate that there will be additional wall signs, a number of them totaling 140 square feet of wall signage for the building. And wall signs are proposed on the east, west, and north facades. As with some of the previous plans that we reviewed this evening, we note that the Building and Inspection Services Division will review the sign application after site plan review, and the Building and Inspection Services Division will apply the sign code. It looks like most of the signs are in compliance, but sometimes on locations and areas of the sign, those really don't get worked out until the plan review by the Building Division. For the dumpster enclosure is located in the southwest part of the site, and it's accessible to vehicles for loading and unloading. The travel route and turn radius has been provided on the plans, but the route that's shown on the plan looks like it'll barely miss the curb, so we recommend that the applicant provide details on a margin of error for this projection, just so that there's not the occurrence of the wheel going over the curb and damaging the landscaping. But that's a relatively minor thing that can be modified by the applicant, and there's room to do it on the site plan. And then finally, for the vacuum enclosure, the submitted plan includes notations related to the vacuum enclosure. The details related to the fixtures must be provided to illustrate the proper screening. We also recommend that the applicant include cut sheets, images, and labels of the enclosure fixtures, as well as dimensions and height of and width of the equipment inside the enclosures. So with those items, our recommendation is approval of the site plan for the automobile wash establishment, as illustrated on the site plan for the reasons stated in our report, subject to the items noted in our review being addressed and corrected prior to the board review of the plans, and also subject to all state, county, and township requirements. The model motion that we prepared for the Planning Commission lists out specifically 7 conditions of approval. Most of them are relatively minor in terms of additional items that have to be included on the plans. And again, we recommend that these items be included on the plans before the board reviews them. That way, if they are done by the time the plans get to the board, it will be with few, if any, conditions. So that summarizes the staff review, and we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. Is the project sponsor here today?
Hi, good evening.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm Corey Weaver. I'm joined by my wife, Michelle Weaver. We're the owners of Zippy Auto Wash, and we're also joined by Dave Brewer and Greg Heim from Vanston O'Brien, our design build firm, this evening. So thanks for the opportunity to be here again. It's a pleasure. I'd like to thank Patrick for the project summary, as well as all of his input on this project to date. It's been extremely helpful, and it's been a pleasure working with the planning department here. We will quickly update the plans per Patrick's recommendations regarding the 7 items that were just detailed, and get those submitted within the next day or so that we can be in time for the next Board of Trustees meeting. And looking forward to serving Canton Township with high-quality auto wash services, and looking to become part of the community here. So
Well, thank you for being here tonight and working
with that,
with
yeah,
us.
open it up for questions.
I'm just going to open it up. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
I got a
Go ahead.
question. It's not really so much about the plan. I think I asked you the last time you were here, what's the deal with all the car washes right now? But I gotta, to take that one step further, I guess, and maybe this isn't an appropriate question for this meeting, but I'm gonna ask anyway. What differentiates you folks from, say, a Quick Pass or a Tommy's or whatever? All coming to the area very quickly, and I'm all for market forces will dictate who survives and who doesn't and all that, but I don't want to see a bunch of empty car wash buildings like we see empty strips either. So, just curious what your feedback is on that.
Or no, that's a great question. So yeah, the industry has seen significant change over the last decade. The unlimited plans, for example, have had a significant impact on the customers' ability and interest in washing their vehicles on a frequent basis. What differentiates Zippy? We have 4 locations currently operating in the Ann Arbor area. Our focus is on providing high-quality wash services, outstanding customer service, and being an integral part of the community through our fundraising and charitable donations. And that has served us well in the greater Ann Arbor market, and we're looking forward to expanding that offering into Canton Township also. Sure.
Will you be joining the Canton Chamber of Commerce?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'd like to hear that. I have a question. What are your hours of operation planned to be?
Sure. We operate all of our sites 7 a.m. To 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then 1 hour later on Sunday morning, so 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we are open essentially about 12 hours a day.
And is it going to be more or less automated in the sense that, like the payments and, just going through from start to finish, is that going to be more or less automated, or will there be personnel involved all the time?
The sites, all the sites are staffed. We have typically 2 to 3 managers on site at all times at all of the sites. It is an automated wash process, so typically a staff member is loading at the entrance to the facility, doing some pre-wash on the vehicles, and then admitting them through the automated wash process.
Okay. So you'll still have people that, wave them in and go a
Absolutely.
little bit that way, a little bit that way kind of thing, and collect the money, or will that be prepaid?
It's all prepaid. We have a pair of auto tellers or auto cashiers. If you can see on the site plan, perhaps on the south side of the site. So there are a pair of entry lanes which lead up to those auto cashiers. Customers can select a wash and pay at that point. and then proceed directly to the wash.
And are those solar panels on the south side of the building?
They are, yeah. So being clean and green is a key part of our business, and we've incorporated solar onto the south roof, south-facing roof of the facility, which we expect to be a significant, productivity enhancement to the site in terms of energy generation. We also have an electric vehicle charging station, both for employee use as potentially for customer use. And then in addition, have our high-efficiency water recycling system.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that, because, for two reasons. Number one, I'd love to see, the integration of, the solar, and then also, it alleviates me from saying, why didn't you put more emphasis on the design of the south side of the building?
Exactly.
It wouldn't have worked, the roof line wouldn't have quite worked the same way with the the solar panels not there, so. Anybody else have anything?
Super quickly, through the chair, to the developer, very quickly, probably asked this the last time, you're shooting for an average annual car count of, and I think you're open probably anywhere from 360 to 365 days per year. Just-
Correct.
Those
We're
are my
open,
two questions.
Yeah, 363 days per year, and a few hundred cars per day is a good day for an express exterior auto wash. There can be some big days in the wintertime when, as we say, the stars align, so snow followed by dry roads, salty cars, sunny day. Saturday, for example, can generate, significant numbers of cars, 1,000 cars in a day, so.
Anyone else?
Just a couple quick questions. Patrick, where the vacuums are, it looks tight, but there's plenty of room for two-way traffic there?
Yeah, I'll pull that part up here.
While he's looking that up, just a suggestion, because one of your other competitors has been in here recently, and they had something I thought was genius, because I have kids. They have access to a public restroom from the vacuum area. I notice that's not in your plans. Would that be something that you would consider to help out with the families that are there with their kids and want to spend a half an hour vacuuming their junk out of their car?
We do have two restroom facilities available, and they are available to customers on an as-needed basis. So from time to time, we do receive a request to use the facilities.
Gotcha. Okay. Not that it's ever happened, but, yeah, right there. So there's plenty of room there for two-way traffic?
Yeah, the drive aisle has to be at least 22 feet wide, and this might not be the sheet that necessarily has the dimension, but the drive aisles are 22 feet wide, so that it's typical of any other parking lot that's got to have a minimum 22-foot aisle. So whether it's parking or there to vacuum, the aisle is two-way.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
Go ahead, Commissioner Weber.
Since Commissioner Zuber's not here, I think she's the one that brought up the addition of coins to the architecture the last time. And I'm sorry, Patrick, I sort of missed what you said, that how they were treating the coins, or what you were suggesting to do with the coins.
Yeah, the Planning Commission had recommended that the coins be colored the same as the window outline. And I can bring up the color elevation to illustrate that. So the coins here, they're the corner of the building, and these little bump outs, so those are coins. And I think, looking at the notes of the Planning Commission meeting, is that the Planning Commission recommended that they be colored the same as the window outline. And here, they're a darker gray. It definitely contrasts with the upper masonry. There's a color contrast, and although it's the same color as the lower masonry is not as visible, and there is a contrast by having the bump out, so there's the depth there. So the recommendation by staff is just to be consistent with the previous Planning Commission recommendation. But the architecture is at the discretion of the Planning Commission now that it's here.
So you're recommending the dark color for the coin?
You're recommending paint them white like that window outline, right?
We had recommended, just consistent with the Planning Commission's previous recommendation, that it be the same as the window outline. But the way that it's colored now, I think it looks good.
I do
think it
too.
looks better,
I do too.
yeah.
I don't think I'd like them white. They'd look like teeth.
Buck teeth.
So that's a condition that can be removed if you like. It's probably one of the more minor
I prefer
ones.
the contrast in the grays.
Me too. How's anybody else feel about that, the gray, as opposed to the white? One question too, in terms of access. So picture the car wash closed, they'll still be able to drive through and use the vacuums and whatnot?
Vacuums will shut off at the same time as the
They will shut
business,
off,
yeah.
so everything will be closed. Will there be ample lighting of the entire lot and the facility even after you're closed? Because I see that as a potential dangerous area because the building blocks view from Michigan Avenue.
Correct, yeah, we plan to keep the lighting on
Okay.
after.
All right, for security purposes, I think that's great. Well, one thing I will commend is that it's a nicer-looking car wash than a lot of the ones that we've seen. So I do commend you for that. Anybody else have anything? Nothing? Sounds like we're all positive on it. Anybody have a motion?
I've got the motion. I move to recommend approval of the site plan for an automobile wash establishment on parcels numbers 71-128-99-0005-702 and 71-128-99-0006-703 as illustrated on the site plan, as the request meets the site plan criteria of the Canton Township zoning ordinance pursuant to the information and plans provided, subject to all state, county, and township requirements, and subject to the following design criteria noted by staff to be addressed and corrected prior to review by the Township Board of Trustees. 1, lengthening the westernmost parking spaces to 19 feet or widening the adjacent sidewalk to 7 feet. 2, reducing the loading space size to the dimensions of a typical cube van pursuant to section 4.02B7 of the zoning ordinance, provided the loading area allows for the required 22 feet parking aisles to the north, east, and west. 3, delineating the sod and seed on the landscape plan. 4, making the entrance light fixtures or decorative fixtures similar to other entrance fixtures along Michigan Avenue. 5, modifying the angle of the dumpster enclosure to improve maneuverability. And 6, providing details on the vacuum enclosures to ensure proper screening.
Support.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Watkins and support by Commissioner Okan.
Can we make a friendly amendment
Oh, okay, hold on.
to make sure that the color of the coins are the contrasted colors as depicted on the renderings?
Can we
Mind
name them
making that
after Don? Can we name them after Don?
The Don coins. Could you mind making that amendment?
Yeah.
It's your proposal,
Sure, and we'll
your
amend it
motion.
to, as stated by Commissioner Weber, the coins will be colored the same as the existing brick instead of the window outline.
Is that specific enough? Because there's
As
two
they-
color bricks,
As they show in the rendering.
as they show on the rendering. That-
You have a lighter brick on top and a darker brick on the bottom.
So coins consistent with existing building colors as featured on the facade. How about that? Yeah.
Yep, that works. And then you would have to support the motion, or
Support.
support the amendment.
Support.
All right, we have a motion and amendment and support. We had a motion and amendment by Commissioner Watkins and support by Commissioner Okan. Any further discussion? Commissioner Okan, would you call the vote on that, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Foster,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Okan, yes, and Chairman Green.
Yes. Good luck to you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Appreciate you working with us. Okay, tonight is the night we start entertaining public comment. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, we are giving an opportunity to speak your mind on pretty much anything. However, let me caution you, do not expect any reply. We're not obligated to do that. We're here to listen.
Appreciate this opportunity, and actually, I probably could have sent a message to Patrick, but I wanted to say it in front of you. In fact, one of the guys who's not here tonight, he had a question last time, and the question was, why wasn't anybody from the affected Lot 101, the 4 units, haven't been here? I found out the reason. And it was by accident because Barb Babbitt had asked me to notify the neighbors of a Cherry Hill HOA meeting, which I did. At that time, I found out they had no clue that this application had been made basically in their name, the Cherry Hill Village 2. They are very, very upset. They don't want this to happen, and they had their own reasons, and one in particular, the one they'll be affected the most, which is the corner unit. And so I just wanted to let you know that it's kind of opened up Pandora's box now, because now they're aware of what happened from the get-go. And I noticed that it was December 8th that the township, 21, that the township received this application. And that was they didn't find out till 2 weeks ago, June. So it's kind of a mess right now. I don't know what else to say about it. But I do have one thing to say. I do appreciate your concern about the colors, on Ford Road and how it's going to look. I didn't know you took that much care to make those decisions, and that's cool, because I'm kind of colorblind, and so I appreciate that. Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I have to thank Patrick for always being so patient with me and giving me the straight answers. I appreciate that.
What's your name and address again?
I'm Carol Beck. I'm the person who applied to the zoning board. What do you call that? The zoning board appeals. Yeah. And I
Okay.
had my neighbors here before, and we were kind of an emotional wreck and mess that one time. But anyway, I thank you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Patrick, are we still Zooming?
No, we're
okay.
not. No.
Okay, I was going to ask, is there any public comments on Zoom? Okay, so we're on to reports and discussion. Anything from staff to talk about?
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. I just want to give you an update on the Canton Township Master Plan project.
Master plan, okay.
The memorandum was included in your packet. So just a general update, at the June 6th meeting, the Planning Commission authorized the Planning Division to staff to begin the master plan project and send mail notifications to all adjacent communities as well as reviewing agencies about our intent to plan. This is a requirement of the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. They were mailed by June 8th, 2022. At this point, we don't expect to hear anything from those adjacent communities or reviewing agencies. We just let them know that we're starting this process, and we will let them know when the draft is ready and they can provide comment, et cetera. But we just wanted to inform the commission that that step had been taken. As you know, on June 7th, the members of the Board of Trustees and Planning Commission held their visioning forum here in this very room. Consultants from McKenna were on hand to prepare or present their presentation about the history of planning in Canton and where we expect this project to go in the future. That presentation is available on YouTube if you would like to watch it again or hear anything. And it's also available in a PDF upon request if you would like to see it in more detail. So just following the memorandum, number 2, the feedback from the public engagement events and activities. So since we met with you last time, on June 16th through the 18th, Planning Division staff and McKenna consultants attended the Liberty Fest. We were there all 3 days, and we had a wonderful time. The community event was a wonderful opportunity to inform the public of the project itself and also to garner feedback about what they want to see in the community. So over the course of 3 days, we engaged with several hundred persons, and we heard about their interests, their concerns, their wants, their needs, their hopes, their dreams, et cetera. So over those 3 days, we received 306 comments. We received an additional 12 applications to the Master Plan Advisory Board, and in addition to this, we've set up an email blast where we let people know about the goings-on of the master plan project. And so we received 39 email addresses from people. So there was a lot of interest. There was a lot of feedback. We had a lot of foot traffic at our booth, which was really exciting. So it was a highly successful event. And just a couple of highlight comments that we wanted to include to share with you. So we heard a number of times, and I'm paraphrasing, Canton's perfect. Parks and Rec knocks it out of the park every time. So there was a lot of positive feedback about the event itself and just about all of the wonderful things that Canton is. Continue the Lower Rouge trails, make them longer. Build up Michigan Avenue. More vibrant downtown in Cherry Hill Village, parentheses similar to downtown Plymouth. How about bike lanes? and fix the sidewalk gaps. So a lot of these things we're already targeting to look at in depth when we start meeting with the advisory board and also bringing to the planning commission. But those are a couple of the more prominent comments that we heard throughout the 3 days. We also heard a lot of comments about fix the roads and the high gas prices and the high tax rate. Unfortunately, as we explained to them, that's not anything that Canton Township can really do. But hearing their comments, their concerns, and talking about the roads, then we were able to inform them where Canton's responsibility is and what is the responsibility of the county or MDOT. And so we were able to inform them on those points. So it was a really great exchange. And we also heard many people comment about how inclusive and diverse Canton is and how welcoming they have been since they've moved into the community. So all in all, we had a lot of really great, wonderful engagement with the community. We've also set up the comment boards at township facilities. You'll see them when you walked into the entrance building here, or the admin building here. After 1 week of having them up at the Block, the Summit, Cherry Hill Village Theater, the library, and the administration building, we had over 60 comments. So we're getting a lot of foot traffic in those areas as well. So I encourage everyone to go to those facilities and to give us, continue to give us your thoughts. A couple of upcoming public engagement events and activities. We continue to advertise the master plan project in the Focus newsletter, so those will be coming to your homes, your businesses every month. We'll be at Pride Outside on July 16th. That'll be held here at Heritage Park from 6:30 to 8:30. And we'll be at Rally on Ridge, which is on July 23rd. And we hope to see you all there. We've had some swag to pass out, some candy. It's been a lot of fun seeing everyone. So we hope everyone continues to come to those. An update on the Master Plan Advisory Board. We received 28 applications by the close of the application period. That was on June 18th. And we've kind of done an internal review and done a couple of interviews with some of the individuals. And so we'll be discussing that with the township supervisor this week, and she'll be the one tasked with making those selections. So we're hoping that those selections will be taking place either sometime this week or early next week, and then we can start having those Master Plan Advisory Board meetings either end of July or beginning of August. Once the selections have been made, we'll reach out to all of those persons who have been selected, and we will then start to figure out what dates and times work for everybody so we can start scheduling those meetings. Yes?
I don't remember, was that restricted to Canton residents?
Canton residents or business owners or
Or
property
business
owners.
owners,
Yes, someone
okay.
who's vested in the
Right,
community.
okay.
Yes. And all of them who applied were residents, and/or we had a couple of individuals who were property or business owners as well. So that checked a couple of boxes. So we hope to begin those meetings in July or August. Okay? And then just an update on redevelopment ready certification. So as part of this project, as you know, we received the grant funding, partial grant funding for the master plan project through RRC. So just part of it, we're just keeping them updated on where we are in this project with the master plan. And so we checked off, we're in the process of checking off another box. So the Zoning Board of Appeals, they don't currently have any bylaws. So we've drafted some bylaws for them, and they're being currently reviewed by our legal counsel, and hopefully will be to their board at the August meeting if they had any applications. I'm not sure if they did. Either the August meeting or September meeting, whichever one they have their next case. So we'll get that checked off, and then those will be posted on the website, just making everyone aware of what the rules and procedures are for all of our public boards. So those are our updates, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about anything. Yes?
Okay, so the advisory board, what, are there goals for the board itself, for that advisory board in and amongst itself, or are they just going to be participants in the overall process? In other words, are they going to join us and join the trustees in this process, or do they have things on their own that they're going to work on and then present that to the process? I guess what I'm trying to get a feel for the purpose of the advisory board, what their role will be.
So the Master Plan Advisory Board is an ad hoc committee, so they've been assembled just for this project alone. So their the essence or the board will cease to exist once the master plan has been adopted. And so what they're tasked of doing is looking at these topics in Canton Township in kind of a 30,000-foot view, right? So we're going to look at density and housing and commercial corridors, and we're going to take everything and look at it in a very broad strokes kind of way. And then they will sort of, not necessarily make recommendations, but the discussion points that come out of those meetings will be brought back to staff and to the McKenna consultants, and then we'll present all of that information to you. And you, as the planning commission, will then look at it a little bit closer and closer until we narrow down draft text and policies and initiatives and things that will go into the document itself.
In our joint meeting, it was discussed, and I thought this was quite fascinating, that we've never looked at the master plan process from a standpoint of starting all over again, even though Canton is, very well built out. It brings upon an intriguing thought process. So this advisory board is going to look at it that way as well. It's like, okay, pretend what we see around us doesn't exist. What should be in Canton? Obviously we can't change some things, but ideally there's some things that can be changed if we look at them correctly. Are they going to go about that the same way, pretty much?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're going to look at it as though nothing ever happened. We still have to look at where we are in the context of the world as it is. And the planning policies or the progressive ideas that were in place once upon a time, that's not the method of thinking anymore. And technology's changed and other things have taken its place. So looking at where we are and what we have and what our stock is in the community, not just land, but just everything in a comprehensive way, and how do we move forward? How do we plan for the future? How do we make sure that we are building correctly and building so that we don't deplete the natural resources that we still have here in the community, and make sure we encompass all the technological advances that have happened over the last 30 years. So sometimes those things weren't taken into account in other planning documents or planning initiatives, and this is the opportunity to really do that and focus on it.
Anyone else have any? Okay, go ahead.
A couple things. I only had one, but the lady that was here speaking about Roosevelt Street reminded me of another. So what's to happen now with that? I mean, she points out, and I look back in the minutes from last month, I was the one who asked if anyone in that building had been notified or why they weren't part of the process of this, since they were the ones going to be most affected by this whole thing. Is it just a big mess down there now that these people are going to try to work out amongst themselves, or is there going to be action coming back to us to handle this, or whatever? I mean, it sounds like it's kind of all over the place amongst them down there. I'm kind of confused of where it stands. I know what we said, but.
Yeah, this will return to the Planning Commission at the next available meeting. And, well, yeah, I think the applicants will be ready, I think the next available meeting. I think their representative was not available this evening, so they wanted to have their representative available at the next available meeting where he would be available. And the Unit 101, there's four Unit 101 surrounds 4 units.
Right.
So the 4 units that are there, they don't own that driveway. That driveway is I think it's a limited common element. And so the 4 owners, building owners, they own, it's almost like an attached condo where they'll own their units inside the wall, but then you go outside the wall, and the association has standing to make an application for that limited common element. I don't think the owners of the actual buildings themselves with the residential structures, I don't think they can be the applicant or the moving party for that limited common element outside of their unit. So I think the application is appropriately made by the association. In terms of the notification to the owners, there wasn't an obligation for the Planning Commission or staff to do that because it's a site plan amendment. It didn't require a public hearing. The association may contact owners, and I don't know what their notification protocol was with the association. But the owners, they did get a notice for the appeal to the Zoning Board of Appeals. There was a duly noticed public hearing, and those owners, as well as everybody within 300 feet, were mailed a notice according to state law by staff, and we verified those addresses and the distribution map.
That's fine. I feel like we've been kind of assigned the task of refereeing this dispute down there, but it's, because there's these people that want the access onto Roosevelt, there's these people that don't want the access on Roosevelt. And I think, like we said last month, I think no matter what we decide, we're not gonna make everybody happy, so.
I agree.
The other question I have, and this is the one I wanted to ask tonight, is it my imagination, or are there a lot more properties popping up along Ford Road, west of Canton Center to the township line, that seem to be popping up for sale?
For as long as I can remember, there have always been a number of for sale signs.
Right.
And we do get a number of calls of prospective developers or realtors or owners that have ideas for how they may want to develop the property. And so our responses are mostly the same in terms of, we look at the existing zoning, we look at the future land use map to see if it's consistent with the zoning. Oftentimes, what they want to do is not consistent, like if they want to put in intense commercial development farther the west side of the township, it's not supported by the master plan, it's not zoned that way. We do tell people that we are in the early stages of doing an update to the master plan. How that will end up, we don't know yet, but it's going to be at least another 12 months, maybe sooner if we have the first draft of the future land use map, but we can't really put a timetable on that at this point.
It seems like I've seen more, and maybe I'm just paying more attention to it, I don't know, it just seems like I've seen more signs pop up. I did hear recently that Crimboli's is gonna go away.
I have heard rumblings from people that have called interested in acquiring it. Now, sometimes people call interested in acquiring property that's not listed for sale. They just see a property and they want to develop it. So I don't know if Crimboli's is officially for sale or not.
I don't think it's your imagination about the signs, at least on the south side of Ford Road, going all the way from Canton Center or from Belle Tire to Mary's Farm Market, because that entire side, I think, is subject to a look at. And now that we granted approval to the one project that's undergoing right now, the senior residential development, I think that's probably opening eyes up even more in terms of that south side of Ford Road. I don't know about the north side, if you've gotten any interest there, but
I thought I noticed there was a couple of the homes for sale that have gone up for sale recently that are in that stretch of homes on the north side of Ford Road.
possible, I don't know, I didn't see that.
Anyway, all right. Some of us want to go home, I guess, tonight.
I just want to say one thing really quickly. Aaron, I love your monthly updates.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
You gotta go home and see the end of The Bachelorette or what?
Move to adjourn.
Or-
All right, we've got a motion to adjourn and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're done. Thank you, folks.
Thanks.